It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Tony Conor, the Story Conference. I'm at Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Monday, the 23rd of December, 2 days before Christmas. Feebox has recorded dark ash emissions from Canlaon volcano today. These emissions have produced a dark plume, roughly 1.2 kilometers in height. The ashfall is expected over communities in Negros Occidental, northwest to the west of the volcano. Alert level 3 remains over Canlaon. Communications Secretary Cesar Chavez clarifies that there were no discussions regarding a potential reenacted budget for 2025. Chavez adds that President Marcos and his cabinet members are still reviewing the proposed national budget for next year. He also says that Marcos hopes to sign the budget before the year ends. And ACT-CIS Congressman Erwin Tulfo again leads the latest senatorial survey released by Pulse Asia. He was followed by former Senate President Tito Soto, incumbent Senator Bongo, and his brother, or Erwin Tulfo's brother Ben, not Bongo's brother. Tulfo likewise topped Octa Research's survey for senatorial preference. And joining us today, Historican's resident political pundit, Tito Ronald Llamas. Merry Christmas po.
Merry Christmas!
Umabol si Tito Ronald.
Merry Christmas!
Nagkandara pang umabol yan kahit ang traffic sa EDSA ngayon.
Mr. Learned. Sana next year, learned ka pa rin.
It's a new year, so we all have to learn from the lessons of the past. So we can all be learned.
Diba?
Past tense. Labo, no?
Ganda naman ang damit ni Juan, no?
Oo, parang si Ami parang Christmas tree ngayon, no? Pasok natin ng ating Christmas tree ng Parañaque from the Philippine Star, Editor-in-Chief Ami Pamintuan. Ami.
Ganyan ang mga sinusuot ni Lauren Legarde.
Winter wear yan, winter.
Ayun, yun pala. Kaya pala parang may mga snowflakes na, no?
Kala ko IP,
Ang
ethnic.
Nepal.
Kala ko ethnic.
Pwede rin ethnic,
Ami,
indigenous wear.
anong malaki sa inyo ngayon?
Si Manny Mogato, ethnic yung look.
Tito Ronald, magpapasko na. Magbago buhay na tayo. Bago mo na, change is coming. Ikaw talaga. Palibasa wala si Tito Manny Mogs eh.
Isama ko lang ng isang gabi sa Press 1 eh.
Oo nga.
Open mic daw, open mic. Wala naman sumama. Wala sumama sa amin. Open mic.
Kakantahan sila.
Yung mga kwento namin, yung mga audience, sasama. Wala sumama ni isa. Natakot kay Manny Mogs.
Takot kay Manny Mogs, oo. Baka biglang humilik yun eh. Hirap na. Oh, Ami, ano malaki nyo?
Mo si Manny Mogs, merong national security strategy daw tayo na-approve ngayon. Kinukuha ko pa yung detalye kung ano siya exactly. But meron pa rin isang related announcement na the armed forces will be buying the Typhoon missiles.
Oh,
para
the
sa
Typhoon
Philippine Army.
Ba't hindi na lang binigay sa atin?
Nandyan siya, di ba? Hindi naman siya inalis.
Edi second hand na yun.
Hindi na lang binigay.
Hindi ko alam. Paano second hand? Hindi pa naman. Magiging second hand na kasi gagamitin mo yun eh.
Baka bawiin ni Trump, kaya binili na lang. Baka bawiin ni Trump.
Kaya baka procure. Siguro procure. Baka naman mga friendly yan. Friendly terms yan.
Alam mo yan, baka baka mahal yung shipping pabalik.
Oo nga. Iwan na lang dito.
Mabigat-bigat din.
Nisip nila.
Hindi sa aircraft carrier naman niya ilalagay. Mabigat na.
Nisip nila. Kasi ba sa balik blind box yan?
Para pwede na yung paglaruan ni Manny Mogs. Matagal na namin gusto magkaroon ng ganyan laruan eh.
Inuhulaan ko na lang yung national security strategy kasi meron na namang sinabi dyan si President Marcos, di ba? Na external defense na ang focus ngayon.
Di ba last year pa yun?
Ko lang yung kung ano yung bagong, kung anything new, kung may masasabi anything new.
Dahil sinabi ni Anyo yan eh, Secretary Anyo, a year ago eh, na external na eh. So, ano kaya ang major difference ngayon?
Well, for one, wala tayong ceasefire with the Communist Party dahil hindi na daw kailangan, di ba? Sabi ni Defense Secretary Gibo Chodoro, hindi na raw kailangan eh.
Bakit? Nasaan na? Hindi ko sabihin. Erase.
Kaya talaga. Pero ano, we've heard it time and again na we're shifting to external. Actually, panahon pa ni Ramos yun eh. Shifting to external defense.
Kaso yung modernization, wala nangyari.
Totoo.
Napunta sa conversion yung modernization. Kaya...
Hindi, pero ngayon, hindi natin nga alam kung sinong leader ngayon. Sino bang leader ngayon, Ronald, ng ng NDS man lang?
Di ba sabi na huli
Kasi
raw?
namatay yung mga top nila eh.
Di ba sabi na huli raw? Tanong na lang natin doon sa ating guest ngayon, si Tokayong Ronnie Holmes, no?
Oy, andiyan yung tukayo mo.
Tanong na lang natin. May tanong si Ami kung sino leader.
Baka masagot ka ni... Sige, pasok natin. Si Tito Ronald Holmes ng Pulse Asia. Sir, magandang hapon and thank you for joining us.
Magandang hapon, Prof.
Thank you, Professor.
Ayun, marami.
Sir, may pinapasa sa inyong tanong si Tito Ronald. Hindi ko lang malaman kung masasagot niyo.
Layo ng segue na yun. Layo naman ng segue na yun.
May tanong si Ami
Pinasa kay Ami.
Kung sino daw ang head ngayon ng CPP-NPA. Baka sakaling alam nyo, Prof.
Ang layo ng segue
Namuling lang po yan eh. Patay na yung dating
Medyo yung choppy yung niya.
Sir, can we call you back?
Yes,
medyo chopping linya. Sayang naman kung hindi maintindihan. We'll call you back, Sir Asap. Ang labo naman ang tanong mo. Ang labo naman ang tanong mo.
Hindi, baka kasi may survey
Baka
sino ang head?
Baka pinagbubotohan nila.
Sino ang head ngayon? Alam ko, may...
Sabay naglabasan yung mga ngayon, mga survey. Sabagay, matatapos na kasi yung quarter.
Last quarter.
Expected naman yan. Ang iniintay na lang natin, SWS, Although yung may kilala ko na sabi niya, pati sa SWS medyo bumaba, malaking binaba nila Senator Bongo and Senator De La Rosa. Although hindi yan yung sa, dun sa Okta, hindi. Mataas pa rin bumaba si Senator De La Rosa, si Senator Go. Mataas pa rin, di ba?
Yung Publicus ba naglabas na rin? Tsaka yung numero uno?
Naglabas,
numero uno?
I think yung Publicus 1 week ago pa, di ba? I'm not sure.
Hindi ko napansin eh.
Kasi nagkasabay-sabay nga yung mga yung nasabay sa mga approval ratings.
Diyan na si Prof.
I was comparing
end of the quarter
Bok, I was comparing yung top 6 results ng Pulse Asia at saka ng Okta. Yung top 6 more or less pareho sila napasok doon, magkakaiba yung ranking. Yung bottom, yung next 6 yung labo-labo na.
Medyo malayo,
Yung top 6 kasi, you have Tulfo, Soto, Go, Cayetano, and Pacquiao ba to?
Manny Pacquiao. And Ping Lacson.
Pero Ping Lacson yung pumasok sa Okta. So top 5 pala, top 5. Although iba-iba ranking nila. Anyway, let's bring in Pulse Asia President Ronald Holmes. Sir, magandang hapon and welcome back.
Magandang hapon ulit. Sorry, medyo tumatahak ng EDSA matraffic eh.
Ay, natraffic sa EDSA.
Okay. So, Prof, wala na kayo sa Kwan. Wala na kayo sa Japan. Nandito na kayo sa Kwan, sa salt mines.
Wala na. Pinabalik ako dito ni Tokayo eh. Sabi nga mo. Para nasa ko yung traffic ng EDSA.
Ikaw pa nasisingin, no? Sir, may tanong sa inyo, Tokayo.
Hindi matapis.
Ang mga magtotokayo, nagsisisihan yan eh.
Anyway, sir, we're looking at yung Pulse Asia numbers for the last quarter. Okay, we've seen the numbers, we've seen the names, but give us the context here. I'd imagine na nagbago yung some of the names kasi yung mga hindi nag-file for senatorials prior to the third quarter, hindi napasok ngayon. So you have some new additions, I suppose, doon sa mga pumasok na names sa top 12.
Yeah, yung basically yung nadagdag dyan, yung nag-file mismo, si Willie Revillame. Kasi dati hindi na siya kasama sa listahan. Natanggal yung mga pangalan ng mga hindi nag-file, si dating Pangulong Duterte, si Baste Duterte, si Paulo Duterte, sila Ted Filon, at iba pa. No? So, marami natanggal na pangalan at nadagdagan naman ng pangalan nga ni Willie Revillame. So, nasa taas siya. Ang hindi din natin alam, Ed, ano ba ginawa nila simula na nag-file sila ng candidacy. Dito sa EDSA, kaliwat kanan ng billboard. Diba? So, billboard pa lang yan. Hindi ko alam yung advertisement nila sa radyo, television. May nakita na akong billboard na Macho Black ng Senado 2025. Parang mix pa ng alyansa at saka ibang independent candidate.
Nakita mga Tulfo billboards.
Professor, medyo nawala na dun sa nawala na dun sa survey nyo yung Ronald Llamas na ayun, major major difference ba yon yung nawala yun sa survey nyo? Sino ba nagpasok nun?
Major kasi hanggang 66 lang yung pangalan ngayon. Dati number 68 yung Ronald Llamas.
Sino ba nagpasok nun?
Ito po ko, number 11, no? Ronald De La Rosa pala to.
Bato De La Rosa.
Prof, para
Pero
sa mga...
Professor, may nakikita ba kayong common denominator dyan sa siguro yung top 15. Top 15. May nakikita ba kayo?
Basically, if you look at the survey result, it's largely a question of awareness. Whether the people who are making it at the top are people who have universal awareness, meaning to say at least 90% yung awareness level. So they're not nationally prominent names. If you cannot have that level of awareness, it will be difficult to mobilize voting support.
Prof, para sa mga amateur na katulad namin, no? Halimbawa itong sa Okta at saka itong sa Pulse, yung mga differences ba na ito are major or minor? No? Itong mga pagkakaiba na ito. Dahil yung iba kasi mga survey, parang mas major yung difference. Yung Publicus, yung Tangere, yung numero 1, at saka yung Oculum. Pero ito parang hindi ganun ka-major. No? Pero for us...
Pwede lang masabi yung whether there are major differences or none. It's not just a question of yung how they stand now, no? It's really looking at the methodology. Kasi hindi mo pwedeng i-average yan eh. Kinakailangan tignan mo mismo kung paano nila ginawa, ano yung katanungan. Kasi sa US, ginagawa nila, ina-average nila, pero tinitignan nila yung details ng survey. So hindi siya straightforward na averaging. Pero matagal na naman nangyayari na may pagkakaiba-iba yung resulta ng survey. Batay na rin kung ano yung method nila. Kung hindi random yung sampling, kung hindi face-to-face, kung online yan, kung opt-in, ibig sabihin yung pwedeng sumasali, yung gustong sumali, definitely mag-iiba yung resulta. Magkakaiba yung resulta.
Pero paano ba namin makikita yung... Dati kasi, Prof, nakikita mo kasi yung mahabang survey mismo no? Mahigit 100, iba 200 pang pahina Pero ngayon kasi lumalabas lang kasi mga summaries So, ano yan sa website? Sa website ba namin makikita yung mga detalye para
Normally, Normally yung technical details should be in the website. If it's not on the website, you would have media inquiries to survey organizations. How did you do it? How did you select the sample? So, AMI as editor-in-chief could actually write any one of them and ask, ano ba yung methodology nyo? If they do not reveal the methodology, then you can suspect that particular group.
Prof, let me pull back a bit. I have a question na parang I'm trying to figure out how to ask it, pero let me put it this way na lang. Kasi you made a point kanina of awareness para makapasok dito sa survey. But where does performance come in when the respondents respond to the survey? I asked that kasi some of the people here who got high marks, we never hear of, even though they've been in the Senate for the longest time. For example lang, si Lito Lapid, you never hear a peep from him. I'm sure his awareness is sky high because of yung
TV show.
Provinciano.
So it's awareness. But it's awareness. It's not performance.
Yeah.
So how do people make that
Kasalanan nyo
jump?
yung TV show.
But how do people make that jump from performance to awareness, or do they even try to make the jump?
Well, ang problema nga, Ed, hindi ka naman ganun kabata na, Ed, no, di ba?
Medyo.
Hindi performance ang pinagbabatayan lang, kundi popularidad, pagkakilanlan sa kanila, So, kahit na sabi mo ng 20 years younger ka kay Ronald Llamas, alam mo na yun, no? Na yung performance is not the only basis. The prominent names, the popular names, given the nature of the electoral system, it's a national constituency. And then in the Philippines, national officials are actually far removed from the public.
Yeah, that's true.
Hindi yan mayor eh.
Hindi naman lalapitan eh.
So, kumbaga parang celebrity rin yan eh. So, diyan nakakalaman yung celebrity kasi kilala sila.
So, kung tumakbo si Maris Racal tsaka si Jonathan,
taga-ibang planeta kasi yan si Ed. Pasensya na.
And then, I will blame his age kasi nga sabi ko 20 years younger than Ronald Llamas.
Hindi, tanong ko lang sa Professor. From your previous, marami na kayong naging survey, past elections. Yung trending ba niyan, pwede pa bang malaking pagbabago dyan? Because it's now December, in less than 2 months, umpisa na yung national campaign eh. Sa experience ninyo from polling, malaki bang diferensya yung final outcome sa senator?
Well, pwedeng magbago-bago yan kasi the campaign also matters. I cannot rule out yung campaign. Di pa natin nakikita yung mensahe nila. Well, hindi ko napapanood yung mga advertisement. Nakikita ko lang itong mga static na billboard sila. But eventually, if they make a mistake in the campaign, rarely do they make mistakes. But normally, they're well advised now kasi may industry na gumagalaw sa atin na basically binibigyan ng abiso yung mga kandidato, dapat yung gawin, dapat yung iwasan. So, medyo yung pagkakamali nila nababawasan. Pero nagkakamali at sa pagkakamali, maaaring mabawasan suporta. So, nakita na natin yung mga pagbabago dati na dati nasa top 6, biglang nalalaglag, tapos nanganganib na. Pagdating na eleksyon, naging 13, 14, 16. Hindi nakapasok yung
Prof, tamang observation ba na parang ngayon pinakamarami ang mga survey firms? Dahil dati kasi mga 3, 4 lang eh. Yung mga survey firms. Ngayon parang daming mga kabute na nagsusulputan. No? At syempre, ang purpose ng survey ay ipakita yung snapshot sa particular na moment para ma-assess ng mga kandidato nasaan ba sila. Pero ngayon, dahil ang dami nagsusulputan, di ba nakakalito yan sa mga kandidato? Unless meron talaga silang suki na isa na survey firm. No?
Ganito kayo, dati marami na rin eh. Ang kaibahan lang siguro ngayon, mas marami yung avenue na kung saan nalalahad yung resulta. Sa social media, nakikita mo. Normally, nagmamashroom yung mga survey firms pagdating na eleksyon. Meron mga survey firm na tahimik lang, gumagawa lang ng mga local survey, gumagawa ng national survey, pero commission ng mga kandidato. Reliable naman. Kakaunti lang yung nagsasapubliko. Pero ngayon, mabuti na din na marami nagsasapubliko. Ang katanungan lang dyan kadalasan ay kailan ba nila ginawa, sino pinagawa pa yan. It doesn't necessarily mean na pag-commission survey is questionable. But you just have to ask how they did it and on what dates and what are the questions so that you can assess your methodology, and then basically that will be the main criterion of looking at the reliability or validity of the survey for that matter.
Sir, tanong ko lang yung borderline people, borderline candidates. Borderline candidates.
May mga naiisip ako ng mga gano'n. Borderline people.
Kasi you're looking here at least by rank 11-12, Lapid and Marcos, 13-14, De La Rosa, tama, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tama, 13-14, De La Rosa and Villar. Historically ba, ano yung, historically when you draw the line, ano yung chances ng nasa below 12 na umangat at ang above 12 na sa borderline na bumaba?
So, babalik ako no? Kasi hindi pa nagsimula yung kampanya eh. Hindi natin alam kung anong datahiyan nila pagdating ng kampanya. Hindi ko alam kung gaano ang booking nila ng advertisement sa radyo at television. Maaring hindi pa sila masyadong gumagastos ngayon. Ibubuhos nila yung gastusin nila pagdating ng Enero. So, maraming bagay na makapagbabago dyan. Hindi pa delikado na nandun sa nasa baba o nandun ka sa top 24. Maaari ka umakyat. depende na doon sa strategy yung gagamitin nila para mas makaligom sila ng boto. Malayo-layo pa election eh. Limang buwan pa naman eh.
February pa naman yung campaign. Pero sir, yung what do you think would be instrumental in terms of the medium in the campaign that could push or fail to push a candidate? Before kasi, long ago, panahon ni Ronald, it was the mainstream media and the boots on the ground eh. I suppose a lot has shifted since then. And by how much kaya are people going to rely on, for example, social media?
Well, yung social media would be one element there, but I would not put that much into social media kasi may algorithm nga yung mga platform eh. Di ba? Ang ano dyan is many of the television networks are actually on social media, so yung digital platform. Eh doon may mga advertisements na pumapasok eh. I've witnessed advertisements of candidates on YouTube when I watch YouTube videos, including StoryCon, may pumapasok na kung hindi ka premium subscriber ng YouTube, makikita mo yung advertisement. But again, it will really depend on the resources that they have. So it's not just social media; it's even traditional media found in the digital in virtual page, no, on YouTube for example. Kasi what we've seen is that 80% of Filipinos access the internet, and all of them basically read, watch, or listen to the news about politics and government through the internet, through their access to the internet, largely on Facebook and YouTube.
Si Amy is on number...
Professor, may nakikita din ba kayong parang ideological preferences? Kasi mukhang yung mga progressives, mababa yung yung ranking nila dyan eh.
Well, hindi naman ideological.
Although medyo madalas din naman sila, malaki din ang exposure nila sa media.
Well, malaki exposure nila. Merong barrier rin kasi hindi siya kasi popular ng mga ilang kandidatong nasa taas. Kilala sila, pero ang pagkakilanlan sa kanila ay bilang mababatas, no? Bilang maaari pagtingin sa kanila ay masyado silang kritiko ng gobyerno, at bilang kritiko ng gobyerno, maaaring hindi nagbibigay ng alternatibo, maaaring yun ang dahilan kung bakit hindi sila binibigyan masyadong suporta.
So it is less ideological, it is more yung kanilang access sa mga main platforms ng media.
Kasi mapapanood mo lang naman yung mga militanteng mga nagsasalta at mga progresibong grupo. Kung ikaw ay katulad kong political scientist o katulad ni Tocayo, ni Ed, ikaw Ami, na journalist na sumusunod sa mga balita. Pero pangkaraniwang Pilipino, nakukuha lang nila yung balita sa panonood din ng panandalian sa telebisyon o pakikinig sa radyo. So, hindi ganun katampok yung mga pangalan na yan kung ikukumpara sa isang artista na lumalabas sa isang serye na tumatakbo sa pagkasenador.
Sir, let me ask about Amy Marcos. I think right now she's at number 12. She's at that interesting stage where di mo malaman kung ano siya dahil for a while she was best friend ni Sara. Tapos medyo may konting kiskisan. Tapos she's also with she originally started with the administration, but now she's supposedly going independent. So how do you think those factors or elements played in her ranking at number 12 so far, at least?
Well, relative na rin yan eh. It's not so much that people are not voting for her. They're just expressing more support for the others who are getting greater voting support at this point. Maaaring wala pa siya masyadong ginagawa para lalong maiangat ang pangalan niya. Pero may nakakatulong na meron siyang, may political lineage, Marcos, no? Maaaring nandun siya sa baba, pero maaari pa niyang itaas yan kung talagang may bibigyan sandiin na makakakuha ng mag-a-appeal sa mga botante.
Pero conversely, maaaring siyang bumaba kung sakaling tuloy ang magalit sa kanya yung yung Duterte groups.
Well, maaari rin nakaka-apekto sa kanya yung kanyang pagiging Marcos kasi pag tingnan mo naman yung approval rating sa trust rating ng Bongbong Marcos ay medyo simula nung huli namin survey, hindi na majority, no? At ang pambansang administrasyon, pag doon sa pangunahing usapin ng mataas sa presyo mabilihin, 8 sa 10 nagsasabing hindi kami aprobado. So, maaaring pinapasagot yung, nawala yung nostalgia, kumbaga, Ed, no? Yung pagiging Marcos ang hindi na nakakuha ng ganung kalaking suporta kung ikukumpara natin bago ng eleksyon ng 2022.
Prof, kung tatanggalin niyo yung sombrero niyo as representing one survey firm, paano niyo titignan yung, ano ba yung mas accurate? Yung online survey or yung traditional na face-to-face survey na halimbawa ay ginagawa ng Pulse Asia?
Hindi ko kailangan tanggalin yung sombrero ko kasi baka makalas yung buko eh. So, seriously, ang gold standard worldwide is still face-to-face, except that in some countries, they cannot do it because it's expensive. For example, in Australia, for quite some time, they've not done it because Australia is such a big country, diba, that it's going to be very expensive to go around. So, face-to-face pa rin. Yung online can be done, but you have to make sure that yung sampling claim mo tama so that you can call it a representative sample.
Professor, yung recent survey nyo on the approval ratings, trust ratings, parehong bumaba si President Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte. Naka-apekto ba pareho sa kanila yung bangayan nila?
Yung kay yung kay Bongbong Marcos hindi siya bumaba, no? 2 puntos lang kung akin natatandaan. Yung kay Sara Duterte, kay Chief Escudero at kay Martin Romualdez bumaba. Pinangmalaki binaba ng approval, performance rating approval ni Sara at trust rating. Yung naka-apekto ba yung kaguluhan? Definitely masasabi natin naka-apekto kasi wala naman sigurong kahit saan kuha pumuntan lugar, masisiyahan kung yung dalawang pinamataas na opisyal ng inyong bansa ay nag-aaway. Di ba? Whether you're in the Philippines, in the United States, or in Canada, of course, in other countries, you only have one person as chief executive, no? But you would not want to see national politicians continually bickering. And that might lead towards withdrawal of trust or an expression of disapproval in terms of their performance.
Going into
Pero midterms na to, di ba? Typical naman yan. Typical naman yung pagbaba na yan ng numbers, di ba? Through the midterms sa mga top officials.
Not really. Makikita natin, these are not the numbers that we saw with regard to BP Robredo and President Duterte in the past administration. These are not the numbers shown by the late President Noynoy and Jojo Binay at the same time during their term. This is much lower than those that were posted by their predecessors. So what is the reason behind this? So, well, it doesn't take, sabi nga sa radyo, hindi na kailangang memorize eh. Maaaring talagang naapektuhan ng tunggalian, ng away ng dalawa.
Yes. Prof, going into the official start of the campaign, gaano naka-frequent yung mga surveys na lalabas, especially yung Pulse Asia? Monthly, bi-monthly?
Yung sa amin, historically, we do monthly surveys, the pre-election, January, February, and April. And then the Ulat ng Bayan, yung quarterly is done in March. So, at least meron kang 4 na survey bago ng election.
Okay. Ano po? Tito Ronald, Professor Ronald Holmes, sorry, nasanay ako kay Tito Ronald dito eh. Professor Ronald Holmes, President of Pulse Asia. Sir, magandang hapon and maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat. Merry Christmas, Professor.
Merry Christmas sa inyo tatlo.
Thank you, Professor. Merry Christmas.
Nakakatuloy na patito to yun. Ikaw talaga. We've got developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao and still with us, of course, Aming Pamintuan of the Star and Tito Raul Llamas, our political pundit. Our second guest for today is the President of Octa Research, Professor Ranjit Rai. Sir, magandang hapon and welcome back to StoryCon.
Hi,
Professor.
Magandang hapon, Prof.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, sir. Sir, I'm looking at your survey results right now, and si Bongo is number 4, pero si Bato is all the way down sa I think number 16. Thereabouts. I know this is arranged nga, pero Medyo mababa si Bato. I'm wondering lang, yung bangayan ng dalawang kampo, yung Duterte versus Marcos, how does this factor or how much of it factors into dito sa pag-select ng mga respondents dun sa kung sino kanilang napipisil na magsenador?
I think that this factors into the decision making also of the everyday voter for as far as their preference is concerned, whether they're pro Marcos or pro Duterte, and it's possible that the political noise that we're experiencing now, the fight between the two camps, have also affected Senator Bato's ratings, at least as far as our survey is concerned. And I haven't seen the other surveys. I just was listening to Ronald Holmes, no, from Pulse just now. But my view is, as a political scientist looking at things from that perspective, I think it's a political noise, competition, and there's a lot of negative information and misinformation being bandied around in news and in the social media against those who are aligned with the Duterte camp. So maybe that has affected to some extent, no, the numbers, the preference for Senator Bato de la Rosa, who, by the way, still has within the
second distance
of statistically possible winners if the elections were held during the period of the survey, which is November 10 to 16.
But I also have to note, si Senator Bato kasi has been very, very vocal in the defense of both the former president and VP Sara Duterte. So, I don't know.
Possible, very possible, yeah. But you can't make
versus,
that
for example,
conclusion
Bongo.
because Senator Bongo is right up there. So, that's a speculation that can't be supported by any data right now. No, it's possible, but Senator Bongo is also a big defender of the former administration, and he's doing very well in the survey.
Pero
So,
parang
it's
iba
very
yung...
possible na mas vocal kasi si Senator Bato. He's been
Yes.
seen.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very, very
So,
vocal, especially sa hearings.
Yeah. Sa
Kung ba-
hearings, he's been
Halimbawa,
very
itong
vocal
huling...
in this position.
Sa Senate.
Itong huling statement ni Senator Bongo tungkol dito sa Quadcom report, parang ang main na banat na lang niya ay, bakit ako? parang ibang-iba dun sa banat
Ni Bato.
ni Senator Bato.
Na bakit sila?
Oo. Kaya kitang-kita mo yung tono, magkaiba. No? Pero, Prop, yung significant kasi dun sa ratings ni Senator Bato ay yung movement ng kanyang numbers ay talagang dramatically pababa. No? Pababa,
Yeah, that's the.
no?
I think that's the more important
yeah,
insight.
yes.
It's not really the actual numbers. And I suggest, guys, you don't look at the rankings, no, kasi it will be different among survey companies depending on the total number of people they surveyed. Ideally, what's important to insight is that this is the first survey. You can throw away all the other surveys in the past. This is the first survey where we have official names.
Yes.
That basically treats as the baseline.
Yes.
This is the start. These are the official names based on the COMELEC, and this is how it falls as far as our survey is concerned. So, but that being said, if you look at the long view, Senator Bato's percentage, which is where we should be looking at, yung percentage voting for, significant yung change over time sa kanya, and that trend is going down. But will this be permanent? No, I don't think so. Wala pa yung campaign eh. So
Yes.
mga magkakampanya pa yan. And remember, no, if you look at our other surveys on political preference, they're about 15 to 20% of the country are pro Duterte solidly. So, once the campaign starts, this will shift, no? And we have to understand that the base of support of the Dutertes are in Mindanao, and everybody needs a vote in Mindanao. So imagine if the Dutertes jump the administration, you can see that these numbers will change dramatically.
How
So,
about...
we cannot take this as gospel truth, because this will change over time. And
Yes.
the dynamics in this particular midterm context is very, highly contested and very polarizing. So these numbers will definitely change.
Yes, pero ang purpose
Pero
kasi nito...
Senator, yung napakalaking, medyo malaking disparity ni Bongo and Senator Bato de la Rosa, and both of them were implicated in the drug war. In fact, paymaster daw si Bongo nung yung quota and reward system. Bakit parang Teflon yata siya? May factor ba doon yung involvement niya sa malasakit? Kasi I asked this kanina din kay Professor Holmes na ano yung common denominator niyang mga top 12 na yan? Meron bang impact yun na si Bongo masyadong active dun sa malasakit, tutulungan ko kayo. Di ba yan yung appeal ng mga Tulfo brothers
Yeah, I think the general perspective, at least from our point of view, is that awareness is important. Performance is important. In the case of Senator Bongo, consistently in our survey for almost a year, he's kept the numbers relatively stable with very little changes. No? And especially now on this first pre-election survey where we have the official list, he's doing much better than we expected, at least given all the negative information. And it has to do really with also the work he's done with malasakit centers, which are located all over the country and has served quite a number of of our citizens, in the past administration, even today. So maybe that has also helped to a great extent. But awareness is not the only thing. I mean, you have to let's make a point about awareness. Yes, while generally it's important in the top 10, this is probably the reason. But awareness is not everything. Look at a candidate like Marcoleta, Congressman Marcoleta. He has 57% awareness in Octa, and he's around 8%. Where compare that with Pastor Kibuloy, who has 85% awareness and only 3% preference. So just because you're aware, people are aware of you, doesn't mean that they prefer you. So it's not automatic. So it has to do with performance, it has to do with the image, the message. Pastor Kibuloy is 85% awareness, but only 3% prefer him. So it's not automatic na mataas ang awareness mo, mataas yung... So it's a confluence of so many other factors aside from awareness. Performance is, I think, important. And you'll see that also with those in the top 12. These are people who have a track record and also well known. And by the way, they're also spending a lot of money. I think to a great extent. When you look at the ads for candidates like Binay and Villar, even see Camille Villar started 3% in preference in Octa in January. Look at her now. She's already knocking at the door. She's basically in. And if she continues her campaign the way it is, massive information drive and awareness raising, she's probably going to get in because the Villar is also a particular brand. And it's not very far away from the experience of our brother. Last election, who was out of the top 12 for most of the year until they started talking about his accomplishments as DPWH secretary and building a campaign of it. So, it's a confluence of awareness. Popularity is very important, definitely. But it's not an automatic formula to get into the top 12.
In the past, Prof, yung sinasabi nila, yung top 4, parang halos sigurado ng mananalo. Does that still hold water sa panahon nga ng social media, sa panahon ng disruption, na overnight pwedeng magbago yung fortunes mo?
Yes, I think if there's anything that we learned from 2022 elections, Raffy Tulfo was for one whole year number 1. When he was junked by junked by some religious group, he moved 3 or 4 places down. So it could actually happen.
Yes,
and
pero,
imagine the situation now.
Pero Prof, si Tulfo kasi di ba si Tulfo was independent, hindi siya kasama sa administration na dala-dala si Robin Padilla at hindi rin siya kasama dun sa ibang major political parties. Kaya pag simula na ng campaign, kahit papano, yung machinery will take its toll. Diba? At panahon na yan.
But the thing is, sir, yung problema, paano ko ginank ka? And junking is likely going to happen in this particular... I'm taking my hat off as Octa because of how polarized the campaign and the political situation is. And that will affect these numbers. Even if you're in the top 4, you're not certain if you don't have the machinery and you don't have access to certain groups. It's very possible na bababa yung... malalagay sa alanganin yung pwesto mo at the moment. So, medyo fluid pa, para sa akin kasi nakita ko na experience And Okta, by the way, got from 1 to 15 correctly in the last survey. So we're pretty good at doing this ourselves. No? And we were kind of surprised at the changes last minute in 2022 as far as the senatorial elections were concerned. Robin Padilla was not in our radar to be number 1. But he did. And certain things happened kasi. So magbabago pa ito. Pero medyo nagsusolidify yung mga Tulfo sa taas eh. Tumaas pa actually in my if I'm correct, no, based on Professor Guido's assessment, tumaas pa ng konti si Erwin Tulfo. May konting separation na sila with Ben, but they look certain, no, if these are the survey numbers, if the elections were held during the survey period, certain na mananalo sila.
Pero going back to my question, Prof, yung top 4 ba may chance pa na matalo?
Ay, hindi naman matatalo. May chance na magbago yung rankings nila. Yun ang ibig sabihin. Yung top 6, sir, mukhang if they continue to get these numbers. Kasi ang cutoff namin sa Okta is between 28 to 32% eh. So, yun ho yung nakikita namin na cutoff namin for now to get into the top 10. Top 12, I'm sorry. Yeah. So yun yung namin, yun ang if you can sustain that over a period of time. Some of them sa top 5 have been sustaining this for more than a year now, sir. So medyo halos sigurado yung ranking lang baka magbago.
Sir, if you don't mind, can you keep your hat off muna and say muna sa political scientist. You mentioned kanina kasi the possibility of junking, especially with the polarized situation right now. Dito sa listang ito, who do you think are the likely candidates to be junked? Hats off.
It's now the fight is now between the Duterte camp and the Marcos camp. And they have different alliances and support bases. So we don't know how it will play out, no? But certainly, there's a high possibility of this happening, given all the dynamics we're observing today, no? Some groups aligned with the Duterte side have been saying that, we're not going to support. Okay? If you don't follow us, we're not going to support. So ito yung nangyayari. And given that there's always the speculation that it might actually happen come election day, May next year. And what I'm saying is that has an impact. No? So, of course, the everyday voter is the most powerful change agent here. If we educate voters, they can make a difference in the next election. And the more we educate, the more likely they will vote, competent, at the very least, progressive, sana candidates into the Senate.
Ang kaibahan nitong
Professor,
election...
ang bababa nga ng mga progressive eh. And in fact, pati yung tinatawag natin traditional opposition, medyo nanganganib sila dyan, ano? How do you explain that as a political scientist? How do you explain this?
Because nobody actually understands what progressive is siguro. Maybe all of
yes,
all of
yung
them
traditional opposition. Like Bamakino, for example.
I'll talk about progressive, maybe the left, no? The Colmenares, those are the progressives.
Yes.
No? They're not coming in, no? And to a great extent, siguro, people are not aware. People, do not prefer them because they're not. They don't know what these people stand for or what good they have done so far. So yan yung but sila Bamakino, they're part of the traditional elite. Eh. They're I don't know, well, compared to the others, they may be a little more progressive. But kasi this is a very competitive election, this midterm. I don't know the long view kay Sec, sa inyo. You guys are, have lived here longer and have seen things over the past. My impression is that this is a very, very competitive, particularly midterm election. The chances of the administration winning are very high, but winning big, that's still a question. Meaning over 8 candidates in the slate might more. It's a big question kung mananalo more than 8 sa administration. So it's highly competitive, and I think the competition is, as you can see in the Okta survey, 10, 11, 12 is going to be tough, no? And when you look at those at the laylayan, in the words of Lenny, they're really strong political families. Camille Villar, we don't expect her to be there very long, no? Abigail Binay, we expected to go up also in our survey. So that leaves so-called progressives like Kiko Pangilinan really in a quandary. They have to work double time. But the good thing about this is that this is a baseline, and that next year pa naman yung campaign, and there's still a lot of time to change perceptions, no? And gain more support as far as these candidates are. It's not over. This is just the first survey as far as we're concerned.
Yes. Pero Prof, ito yung pinaka-ibang election na nakita ko dahil sobrang polarized ito dahil meron kang impeachment na nakaamba. Meron kang ICC na nakaamba.
Impeachment, and that's gonna change everything, sir.
Meron kang ICC na nakaamba. Meron kang possible criminal cases na nakaamba. No? At ito yung isa sa pinakamaraming re-electionists at saka mga babalik na mga senators na maglalaban-laban. Kaya ito yung isa sa pinakamasikip na eleksyon na nakita ko so far, no? At si Bam at saka si Kiko ay galing sa pagkatalo. Si Bam ay halos 6 years wala sa posisyon, si Kiko ay almost 3 years. So yun yung sigurong negative sa kanila, no? Unless malampasan nila 'yan, no? Pero yung mga
may chances, sir, let me clarify. May chances si Senator Bam Aquino, not all is gone. Look at the
of course. Sinasabi ko lang Prof, kung bakit sila wala doon sa 12 at this point. Dahil nanggaling sila sa pagkatalo na medyo matagal. Pero yung Prof, sa ganitong klaseng naiibang eleksyon, yung mga katulad ni Aimee na namamangka sa dalawang ilog, no? Yan ba ay kaya niyang i-sustain dahil nga very polarized, no? Yung mga hindi boboto sa kabila ay hindi naman boboto sa kabila, no? Dahil nga polarized yung eleksyon nito, no? Kaya nakikita, halimbawa sa inyo, siya ay posibleng number 10, sa Pulse number 12. So, isa siya sa mga possible casualties.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, she has to define her politics even more. But in Okta, she's improved a lot, no? From I think she was 11, 12 last time. So now she's improved a little bit. But yun nga, she's vulnerable because of the politics she's playing. And she might just get, she might have challenges on both sides. So yun nga. But let's see, the campaign is about to start, and let's see how that's going to roll out, no, and pan out, no. Kasi iba-iba ho yung style ng kampanya at yung machinery na ginagamit. Kaya nga nasabi niyo, Sek, malaking bagay ho yung machinery, and the administration will always have that advantage. If the Dutertes are the opposition now, no, or at least one big segment of the so-called opposition to the administration, they have 3 here in this list that are competitive, no? That's Bongo, Bato de la Rosa, and Willie Revillame. So, and Willie Revillame just came out of nowhere as far as we're concerned, no? I mean, he got himself as a candidate, no? In October, biglang ang taas ng rating niya. Halos, we don't see. I personally, haven't seen any ads, no? But this is very high for us, and we've been tracking him, but this is a big jump from where he was the past year. So he's a candidate to watch. He's one of the big stories here, together with Abigail Binay, Villar. Yeah, these are and of course the big stories like Bato de la Rosa going down as far as the actual percentage voting for and his ranking are concerned.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Professor Ranjit Ray, ang Pangulo ng Okta Research. Thank you, sir, for joining us this afternoon.
Salamat, Prof, at Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry
Christmas, Professor.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining Storycon today. Ami Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and Tito Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. Join us again tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the Storycon. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group, or the Storycon Group.